because let us suppose that for your business analysis you are getting the information from your competitive products. Fine?
Yeah.
So that data somebody might be storing in the form of Excel workbooks, somebody might be in the form of CSV files, the other might be in the form of some other database other than Oracle or SQL, or might be somebody says that I am very much comfortable storing in the form of images or graphs. These are all the various methodologies in which data is stored and maintained as per their understandability levels.
Welcome to GoToMeeting. There are two other callers on the call.
The database is what a spreadsheet is. Spreadsheet is nothing but your workbook. Fine. Then what is this proprietary application?
Some application developed by that organization, which is
No, not clear. See, you are going far away from your mic, it seems.
Oh, is it? It's okay now?
Normally your voice itself is, I need to closely hear. That too, if at all you are.
Welcome to GoToMeeting. There are two other callers on the call.
SQL Server integration service. Now this integration service, see, if you want to connect to integration services, there will be a service running by the name SQL Server Integration Services service. You want to connect to SQL Server, there will be a service running behind, what we call it as MS SQL Server service. Okay. So because you don't have that much idea related to the SQL Server environment, what I understood from the last class discussion, I just show you. We'll have something called in the configuration tools SQL Server Configuration Manager. So under this you have SQL Server services.
Okay.
So this is actually DBA's role. DBA will bother about it, but I'm just showing you. If you want to work on SQL Server, your MS SQL Server service, this is the service. This should be running. Then only you can connect to SQL Server.
Yeah, got it.
And similarly, for connecting to SSIS, this SQL Server service should be running.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, if I am saying that this is my service, it is divided into two parts. One we call it as, one I am calling it as control flow engine.
Some kind of voice is coming.
Some disturbance somewhere. It is coming somewhere in the middle, it seems. It is not from my end or not from your end. Don't know how.
Okay. Now it's good. Anyway.
So control flow engine, and this is what we call it as data flow engine. So the service is divided into two layers. One is called as control flow engine, the other one is called as data flow engine. Now as the name here, I just come down to the data flow engine, then I'll go back to the control flow engine. You will understand then. So what this data flow engine part in the service will be doing is, the name itself says data flow. So what happens is, data flowing from one location to the other location will be handled by this part of the service. So for example, let's say I have a source. This is my source. So let us suppose that this I am connecting it to some destination. Okay, so I have some destination over here. Now actual source and destination we can identify here.
Yeah, basically the data portion, like from which to which
Means so getting the data from multiple sources, merging or filtering, what all the activities that we are doing, that entire activity we can understand here in the data flow engine and will be handled by data flow engine only.
What about any transformation? Will that be visible
Transformation
here?
also here itself. Here itself.
Okay.
The complete part, the source data systems, destination data, in between transformation role, the entire activity is handled by data flow engine only. But what this control flow engine will do is, it controls the flow of activity. Name itself says control flow. It controls the flow of activity and broadly explains what exactly happening. Let's say I have opened the project, SSIS project. Now I will be directly into control flow environment. In the control flow environment, if I see, I don't understand anything, only broadly understand something like data flow is happening, a send mail is happening, or bulk insert is happening, only that. But what is the source, what is the destination, or from where you are sending the mail, to whom you are sending the mail, all that details you cannot understand them. You can understand all those activities in the data flow engine. Okay. So control flow engine, what it will do is, it controls the flow of activity, first thing. Second thing is, it what I can say is broadly explains the activity. One thing.
Yeah, basically you just know what's going, what steps are going on, but
yes,
how the data is being changed or migrated will be
so only it says that this is what the activity, but what is the source, what is the destination, in between what is happening, all that it will not explain. Okay. Now at the same point of time, what this control flow engine also will do is, whenever data is getting transferred from source transaction systems into destinations by doing some transformation or intermediate activity, all these things, simultaneously it has to perform some other activities also. So these activities, what we are calling, we generally or technically call them as tangential activities. Tangential activities to your actual data flow. So for example, to make you understand what these tangential activities are, I will give you an example. Let's say every day I will be getting a mail from my clients. In the mail, he will be sending an attachment. That attachment is a file. Some data will be available in that file. That file I need to download it into my paths on my server into some location, and then transfer that data into the table using SSIS, and then go ahead with my work. This is what the normal process is, let's say. Every day he will be sending the same file. Today he has sent the file, I have downloaded and loaded that data into table. Tomorrow also he will be sending the same file, but might be having some additional information. Okay. So whenever I am downloading that file into my path, already that file is available in that location which has been downloaded today. So what happens is, it tries to overwrite that file. Obviously, right? So I don't want that to be overwritten. I want to have yesterday's file to be there, today's file also to be there. So what I have to do is, as and when I am downloading, it has to be renamed. File has to be renamed. So actual process is data getting or the file getting downloaded. That is the actual process. But simultaneous activity or tangential activity it has to do is, it has to rename the file. Okay. So normal, you understood now what a tangential process is, right? Tangential activities. So such sort of
associated with the main process, right?
Yes. So such sort of tangential activities will be perfectly implemented by control flow engine. Okay, so
yeah, basically, the data comes from source to target or destination, and then some kind of preparation stage or some kind of additional steps are also associated with then it can be done by control flow.
Yes, yes. Fine.
Which are not actually really handling with the data, but it's basically required for that successful data flow.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. This more clearly we try to understand once we see the architectural diagram. Now whatever you understood is perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Fine. Now the control flow, data flow. Now see, I am just going into the presentation. Sorry. So we have seen import export wizard. We try to understood what import export wizard is, ETL tool is, control flow engine is, application platform is. Now the major part is high performance data transformation pipeline. So this we will try to understand as the presentation goes on. So this is what import export wizard is, whatever that we have discussed. The same thing they have presented here. Most important feature is import export wizard, which makes it easy to move data from source location such as a flat file or a database to another flat file table or another destination. Import export wizard was first utility developed back in SQL Server 7.0 time frame. Continues today as important utility in the DBS toolbox. The same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So ETL is an acronym for extract, transform and load. Where it is very cold there.
No, just some allergy or something.
Okay, fine. So it is an acronym for extract, transform and load, and describes the process that take place in data warehousing environments for extracting data from source transaction systems, transforming, cleaning, deduplicating and confirming data, finally loading it into cubes or any other analysis destinations. So the true valuable enterprise ETL become available with only integration services. Fine.
Yep.
Control flow engine, which we have discussed, that is process involved in moving data from location to location and transforming it along the way, or not restricted to only processing data. Integration services provides control flow for performing work that is tangentially related to the actual processing that happens in data flow. Examples: downloading and renaming files, dropping and creating tables, rebuilding indexes, performing backups, multiple other tasks. Okay. Application platform. Developers can create applications that use integration services as a platform, embedding the engines within their application using provided object models. So developers can embed the integration services engines and components within your application using their object models. Fine. Now I am coming into the very important component, that is high performance data transformation data pipeline. There are two important tasks or two important activities under this. One is high performance, the other one is data pipelining activity. So this high performance I have discussed in the last session. SQL Server has the speed of executing a query in 10 to the power of minus 19th part of a millisecond. This I mentioned in the last session, right?
Yes.
So the same speed my integration services is also having. Okay. So that's what it says. Data flow task is high performance tool because you can use it to perform complex data transformations on very large data sets for incredibly performant processing. Okay. The second half of this is data pipelining activity. What is this data pipelining activity? We need to understand. So pipeline concept means that you can process data from multiple heterogeneous data sources. So you can get the data from heterogeneous means multiple formats of data through multiple parallel sequential transformations. You can do all these multiple parallelly as well as sequentially. The transformations can be done, and finally you can load the data into multiple heterogeneous data destinations.
Right.
So this is what is called as pipelining activity. So this feature is brought by Microsoft. Later on it is available in all the other environments, but it is a product that is coming from Microsoft. Okay. So this is the major advantage, and after this all this history is related to DTS, is not relevant to us. We just need to understand Bill Baker, the General Manager of Business Intelligence in SQL Server, made investment in ETL and integration space. He brought together some very talented folks such as a number of people and other individuals who formulated the ideas behind data flow task and next version of integration services. So finally what they did is, over a period of 5 years, the development time frame for SQL Server 2005, where we got business intelligence available in SQL Server environment, is with SQL Server 2005. So the DTS team completely redesigned and rewrote DTS to become what is now our integration services.
Yes.
And one very important point that we need to remember here is all this credit of developing integration services tool goes to Hyderabad Microsoft team.
Wow.
So entire designing is done in Seattle, US, but implementation is done in Hyderabad Microsoft.
Wow.
Okay, so 80 people involved in this, a team of 80 people who work day and night for about 5 years. That's the reason why it got delayed. The release of SQL Server 2005 actually scheduled in the month of April 2005. Later it is postponed to August, then September, then finally got released in the month of December. 7th December 2005, they have released that in Bangalore first, and 11th December the same thing they have released in Hyderabad, because most of the components of 2005 are developed in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Microsoft. That's one of the reasons, and the major reason why they have selected Bangalore or Hyderabad to release this product is because why this much importance for this 2005 release date is SQL Server first version launched in the year 1992, but got success only with SQL Server 2005. So how many years it took to reach the people like this? 13 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and this 2005, whenever they are designing also, they have took it as a challenge, and they clearly mentioned if this 2005 is not successful in the market, they are going to wipe out this SQL Server product from the market. That's what they have made a statement also, and then took it as a challenge and done it. Okay, finally they got success after 13 years of its evolution, and now it has SQL Server, as far as the NASCAM report says, is almost 65 to 67% of total database market is now in SQL Server environment.
Yep.
Okay, so and another major reason why they have selected Hyderabad, Bangalore for releasing this is if you remember that time Bill Gates came to Hyderabad during 2005, that time they have launched this in Hyderabad and Bangalore because they want to concentrate on Asian markets to meet the competition coming up from MySQL, Linux environments. These are all the business tactics. Okay, but one of the reasons out of this is most of the components have been designed in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Microsoft.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So now you got a overview, at least overview of integration services environment. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to show you the architecture of SSIS. How the architecture will be is, So this is how SSIS architecture looks like. See,
Yes,
I've drawn that in the control flow and data flow here. The same thing, you can see this yellow portion is control flow. Coming down, this is white portion is your data flow.
right.
Okay, so to connect to this integration service, as I have shown in the services, integration services service should be started and running.
Right.
And this will be controlled by a system database called MSDB database. So there will be 4 system databases available in SQL Server environment. So the system databases will be available on your system as and when you have installed SQL Server.
Yeah.
So one is masters, other one is model, third one is TempDB, fourth one is MSDB. These are the 4 system databases.
Okay.
So each have their own importance. What master does, model does, TempDB does. Similarly, MSDB basically takes care of all scheduled tasks.
Okay.
So normally this integration services project that we are designing is also going to be automated, right? So will be scheduled. So that also will be under control of MSDB database.
Okay.
And whenever you open your integration services project, all the activities in the project will be created in the form of packages.
Yeah.
All the packages will be a part of project, right? So
Right.
each package will be saved in the form of a .dtsx file.
Correct.
So DTSX stands for Data Transformation Services Extension.
Okay.
To make the things understandable, they have just used this extension as DTSX. Now, you can connect to this service using any application, custom application it says. Custom application means you can connect using .NET application, PHP application or SAP application or Java application, some application. You have the provider, you can connect it. And we have some command line utilities also. Using that command line utilities, see, you want to open a text file. What we will do is you go to the run and say text file or some .txt or something like that. The file will be opened, right? Similarly, from some command line means through command you can also connect to this integration service.
Right.
And wizards, SSIS wizards.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, import export wizard. Through the wizard also you can connect to the integration services.
Right.
Or you directly can connect using designer. SSIS designer is you just open the integration services environment. It will be opened in the form of a designer itself.
Right.
So these are all the 4 formats in which you can connect to the integration service. Now let's say you have connected to integration service using any one of these formats. Now the package will be opened. In the package designer, you can place what all the controls that you want. The controls will be available in the form of tasks in the toolbox. You will have a toolbox available. In the toolbox, it specifies some controls which used for handling certain tasks.
Right.
Okay, so toolbox provides a wide variety of controls, but let's say none of these controls is suitable for my requirement. My requirement is something different from the tools available in the toolbox. Then what we do is normally we will escalate this to the .NET team and say we are in need of such sort of functionality. Please develop a control and embed that control or tool into my toolbox. It takes just few minutes for them. They'll design a control and that control will be embedded into the toolbox. Then we can use it and go ahead with our activity.
Okay.
So such sort of things are called as custom tasks. You can customize it.
Yeah.
Okay, and down we have something called log providers. Just below task, custom task, you have something called log providers. So what this log
output of the task completion, right?
yeah, just logging activity. and data sources will be available in the data flow task, not in the control flow actually. These data sources will be available in data flow task. Now then I'll come to the event handlers.
Schedule
Huh?
to catch the event or something?
It's something like your error handling.
Happen.
Okay, if some error being raised, see now on my control flow, this yellow portion, I have a task on the top. From there, two branches, one branch going into task, the other branch going into container. Now let's say the execution started at the topmost level. Now coming down to the leaf level, the last part, last task, you got an error, let's say. So now you, by looking at that error, you have identified this is what the error is. Now you have rectified the error. Then you start executing again. It starts again from the beginning. It will not start from the point of failures.
Okay.
The execution starts again from the topmost task. So what happens is the basic problem with SQL Server, or I can't say that it is a problem, it is a feature of SQL Server. SQL Server always runs on auto commit mode.
I know.
Oracle is not like that. Unless and until you say commit, it will not be committed, right?
Right,
But
right.
SQL Server always runs on auto commit mode. So now what happens in the previous execution, these tasks are executed and data modified. Now I got error at a particular stage, so I rectified, again I started execution, it starts from the beginning.
Right.
Now already modified, on that second modification it is happening now. I don't want such sort of thing.
Right.
Okay, so in such a situation what we'll do is, we guess probably this is error prone area. You might be getting an error. You design some event handlers. Say, if at all this gets into error, don't stop the execution, take the alternative solution and go ahead.
Okay.
So that's what is how you say handling the events that are getting occurred while executing the project.
Right.
So we can define all these things in the event handlers. Then the connection managers. Connection managers is nothing but your connection strings.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I
You
mentioned, this is a
you
control.
can connect with any database. This allows connection, right?
Yes. So let's say coming down to the data flow, you have source, transformation, destination. See, by looking at this, I can say that this is SQL source or Oracle source or Excel source, but this is only a control for user interface. This control has to be properly connected to the actual SQL table or Oracle table. So the connection to be established between this control and that table is done with the connection managers. So what this connection manager comprises of is 4 parts. First one is providers. Second one is server name. Third one is your authentication details. Fourth one is what is the database to which we have to connect. So these 4 parts combined together, we generally in the application platform we call it as connection string.
Yeah.
Here the same we are calling it as connection manager. Now comes the major part out of the total architecture called as enumerators. What is an enumeration means in general? Forget about this technicalities for the time being. General vocabulary meaning enumeration means. Any idea, any guess from your end?
Enumerate, right? You designate something. Correct? You define something, you give something new.
Not something new. Actually, general vocabulary meaning of enumeration says which works on a group.
Right. Okay.
Right. Now, what is working on a group is, see, understand that. I'll give you an example here. Let's say you have a source. some transformation, some destination. Forget the second source and destination. I just have on my data flow a source, a transformation, and a destination. Now this source can be a flat file or Excel file or anything. Now getting that into SQL Server destination. Right, now what is it doing is it is taking the data from the flat file. If it all required, some conversion is done and some manipulation is done, and finally output is loaded into the SQL table. Now what I am doing here is, instead of giving a file as a source, I am giving a folder as a source. That folder is having a lot of text files. Now what is my intention is, it has to start from a file and load all these files data into SQL table one after the other. So now what it will be doing is, it searches all text files from the folder one after the other. It converts, transformation, processing, whatever that is done in between, that will be done, and finally it will be loaded into the destination. Now it is working on a group, it is not working on a single source. Right? So this can be not only of one particular category. Now I have just explained only the category on text files of only one format. Now simply you can say the folder, whatever the files available in the folder, I am not restricting only to the text files.
All the files in the folder.
Yeah, that folder, I just leave it to the system and say whatever that folder consists of, all the files in that folder has